Hello, everybody. Welcome to session 3. I'm excited about today. I'm excited for you to meet our panel members. Yesterday we hit on some really important issues during the session. We talked about what are our strengths, what are our talents, and we also talked about some of the things holding us back. And unfortunately, some of those things holding us back is something that I would dare say most of us experience or feel at some point in our lives. The big question that I think we'll have some answers today is, how do we get past those feelings? How do we keep moving forward? So today, we are going to introduce you to 4 established women who they're going to share their experiences with you. They're not going to just talk about their success, but they're also going to share with you some of the challenges they faced along the way. But here's how today is going to work. We're trying something new. We are going to start out in this webinar format for a panel discussion. We're going to let you get to know who these amazing women are. And then about halfway through, we're more or less going to make a virtual classroom change. We are going to go to Zoom meetings. You will all receive a link in the chat. You've all received a link via email already, but we're going to go to Zoom meetings so that we can break up into smaller groups. And you can have a discussion in a much smaller group and ask your questions. And then we're going to come back in Zoom meeting and kind of share what we've learned from each other. So that's how it's going to work. And like I said, we're going to give you directions along the way, but I'm excited about today's discussion and what we're going to learn from each other. So without any further ado, I want to introduce you and bring back our moderator from session 1. Let me introduce back Fatima Bastaki. Welcome, Fatima.
Thank you, Trisha. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Fatma Bastigi, and I am a credit card brand manager / bilingual TV presenter on Bahrain TV. I'm also a mother. I'm really happy and excited to be part of the Women2Women Bahrain. I am sure that this session will be as exciting as the first one I moderated. You will for sure learn a lot for the amazing panelists today. So research has proven time and time again that women in leadership positions have an incredible impact on the success of their organization, from increased profits to employee satisfaction to effective relationship building. Women offer a different perspective and approach that is otherwise absent. So why is it that women are still not fully represented in leadership positions? Our talented and successful panelists will discuss the growing trends of women in different sectors. They will share their stories of success, challenges, and the importance of supporting female colleagues to create a more inclusive atmosphere in our communities. I would love to welcome our amazing panelists, Hind, Reem, and Amani. Please join us. How are you, everyone?
Hello, Fatma. How are you?
I'm great, Amani. I'm so excited to have you and Hind and Reem. And I'm sure that, each and everyone is wondering what is the background you come from. So I'd love to start with Hind, if you can tell us more about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Hope your day was going smooth. I'm Hind Al-Awadi. I'm the first aircraft engineer in Bahrain. Currently, I'm holding the position of Senior Airworthiness Inspector. Beside of that, what I'm doing, and I'm also an entrepreneur, that I share my experience as a social media influencer and social media, just to show that the road to success and having whatever you want in life, it won't be easy, as I always say, but it would be always worth it at the end of the day.
That's amazing, Hind, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from your experience. Amani as well, I'm also excited to have this session with you. Can you introduce yourself to our young leaders?
Hello, everybody. Hello, our young leaders. I am Dr. Amani Abbas, and I hope that we have a great session. So I come from background of engineering, same as Hind, but I'm a metallurgist. So I have a bachelor degree in metallurgy and material science engineering. And then I proceeded to have my MBA and also some professional certification, which is risk management. And then I proceeded on having a scholarship to have my PhD with Brunel University, UK, which I specialize in social media marketing and parental interventions, which is basically an ethical issue. So I targeted it from an ethical background, and people wonder, why would I do that? It's just an inspiration because I am a mom of one. So I have a son who's 7 years old, and to be successful in this world, you have to combine both. And that's, I hope, what I am trying to convey, that you can have both things. You can be a successful woman, and you have your own personal life. And I hope I can, share my experience with the young leaders of tomorrow.
Amazing. I'm sure, Dr. Amani, when people think about success, they often think, how can they balance between their personal life and their careers as well? So we're going to tap on these, important questions with the young leaders. Hello, Rayman. Welcome to our session. And can you tell us more about yourself?
Hello, Fatma. Hello, everyone. I'm really glad to meet all of you. Here is the world of leadership and challenges. My name is Rayam Al-Jama, and I'm the owner and the general manager of Campania. We are specialized in executing training programs, but through experiential training methods, through challenges, and through adventures. I presented Bahrain in many international forums, such as UNESCO in Paris. In addition to that, I have won the first place, a مشروعي entrepreneurial award. And through my journey, actually, I went through a lot of successful achievements, but a lot of obstacles as well. And I'm happy. Yeah. So I'm happy to share my experience with you all.
Thank you so much, Reem. I'm so excited. Each one of you, amazing leaders comes from a different background. And I just want to remind our young leaders that, feel free to write in your questions in the conversation below. And I'm going to get these questions, and we're going to ask our panelists, and we're going to get to how did they reach to where they are today. And the first thing that comes into my mind, Hind, is how did you choose to be an engineer, an aircraft engineer? I mean, that's a kind of, different field. So how did you decide on that?
So Fatma, maybe 13 years back, it was a different field, but nowadays the aircraft engineering and aviation in general, it's a field that I believe every woman would consider. But at that time, let's go back to when it was not really welcoming females and women to be in this kind of careers. I didn't know exactly that I wanted to be an aircraft engineer, and that's one point to start with. So let's put the points for the next for the future leaders. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted. I knew that I want to be in aviation, and that goes back to my love for aerospace, to be honest. And at that time also being in aerospace was not an option for us in the region, or especially in the Gulf region, because there was no any major to study this, and there is no opportunity to work on it. So the closest thing was to space is the sky. And here was, for me, was my first step to know what I wanted. So I wanted aviation in general. I didn't know that I wanted a specific aircraft engineering. I had some obstacle family-wise and social-wise that it was not acceptable for a woman to be in aviation. My parents is a very loving parents. They are very protective, as most of the parents and in our region especially. So they didn't welcome the idea of being in aviation because it was a man-dominated field 100%.
Yeah.
What happened? I had an opportunity to study aircraft engineering as a sponsored by Temkeen, and that was my first step to know about aircraft engineering, and that was my last year in school. So just to make it clear, I didn't have that dream of being an aircraft engineer. But once I knew about this opportunity, I read more about it. I really love it because engineering general is something I'm very interested in. And it was like engineering and aviation, so combining both things that I love, and that's what leads me to aircraft engineering. I love it. I was the first at that time. It was not easy to get accepted as a woman in this field, but the journey was nice, was beautiful, and I always had that thought of let me start it and let's see how it goes. Today, I'm very happy and proudly to say that we have more than 15 aircraft engineers as a female working in the field, other than the ones that actually studied but they didn't continue, and we might talk about that in later stages in our panel today. But yeah, so that's how I end up being an aircraft engineer.
Amazing. I mean, the journey itself is an inspiration. You know, where you reached as well is a whole different story. But that leads me to Dr. Amani. You know, you talked about some of the steps that you had throughout your career to reach where you are, and you're also a mother. So, in your opinion, how do you take that extra mile? How do you decide, you know, I'm going to take that extra step? Because sometimes when you're juggling more than one thing, as you know, you reach to that point where you feel like, okay, maybe that's it, maybe that's, but then there's something in you clicks that, no, I can still do more. So when did you face that?
Well, actually, it's something has to do with women in general. We are a multitasker, to be honest, and that's one of the most important things that we have. Like we have a really high emotional intelligence, and that's enable us to actually multitask. So having that thing that you know that as a woman you can actually do multiple things at the same time, you can fill so many roles, right? So that gave me the opportunity, or that gave me the push that I can do everything. Plus I had really so many role models, to be honest. My mom was one. My mom was an engineer in Batilco. She was one of the first females, like, you know, so she was there, and she had 3 kids, actually, me, my sister, and my brother. So I had some role model there, and I'm looking around me, and all women, even the ones who are staying at home, it's also a job. So they are juggling many things nowadays. Even the mother who's staying at home, she's teaching her child because now of the online thing. So it's always been there in front of me. And also, I'm a very stubborn person. When you tell me I cannot do it, I will make sure that I prove you wrong. So yeah, that's the thing that drove me all the way to, like, you know, having engineering like degree, which is a male dominated one. Actually, metallurgy is like a combination between chemical and mechanical, and basically like they are all boys or guys. So like, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. So I made sure that I proved them wrong, and I actually excelled in it, and I won the first prize project for my final project. So yeah, I proved that. So it is maybe a good thing that you are becoming stubborn, but it can take you long way if you know how to control it and push it in the right direction.
Absolutely. And I'm going to come back to both of you, and Dr. Amani, because I do have a question from one of our young leaders that I'm sure you all want to answer. But before that, Reem, you know, being an entrepreneur is not easy. I must say, I've seen people, you know, try it and fail. A lot of people succeed in it. But, you know, to be persistent and to want to be successful is something not everyone has, but you can see a lot of women nowadays are determined to be successful entrepreneurs. Can you tell us about some of the challenges you faced when you first, you know, started your business?
Yeah, it's true. Actually, it's not easy at all. But my story started when I decided to discover myself. When I graduated from the university, I had many roads to go in, either to be an employee in a governmental sector or in private sector, or I had the third option to be an entrepreneur. So the first year, I decided to sign a temporary contract and maybe 4 organizations. So I tried the field, the governmental and the private sector. Yeah. So I tried to be an employee, but I didn't like it. For my personality,
Something was off.
Exactly. So I wanted to live another adventurous life. So I decided to establish Campania, my company, and here the story started. The first challenge was between me and myself. The field that I'm working in is not easy at all. So I had to educate myself how to be, let's say, شنو مميز.
Special,
Can you
aware,
help me?
different. Yeah, it could be special
Yeah.
or different. Yeah, stand out.
Exactly, trainer. In addition to that, I had to learn about the most effective techniques with the adventures. The third obstacle was the social obstacle. I'm a woman, and how I'm going to the sea field and the البري. شنو البري? Can you help me in English?
Yes, absolutely. So you were
القطاع
wondering.
البري والبحري. Yes. So it wasn't easy on my personal level and social level, in addition to how can I maintain.
So one of the challenges you've
through
had was you were exploring new fields for a woman, and you wanted to
exactly.
prove yourself in that field. How did you overcome these challenges?
I just did it.
How? I want to know. So do you wake up in the morning and you go like, there is no such thing as a challenge. I'm a woman. I can do this. Or you had a support system. How did you do it?
Fatma, you know the passion. It was the passion.
Absolutely.
When I wake up in the morning, I just feel it in my heart.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Yes.
Even if my closest friends or my parents didn't want me to do that, because they, as Hind mentioned, they every parent are really protective. They love
Absolutely.
their children, you know.
Yes.
So I did it by myself. And
Because
about
you
the
had
support
passion.
system, exactly, about the support system, later on I had the support system, and they were my team.
Yes. So I hear from you, amazing leaders, that you need to have passion. That's number one. To start something
Yes.
and pursue it and continue and not stop, you need to have passion. And throughout my, interviews I've had with a lot of women, I hear this word a lot. I hear passion, passion, passion. You need to love what you do. It's more important than just chasing success or chasing being in a high position. You need to have passion, and everything else, will follow. And that leads me to one of the questions we have from one of our young leaders is, if you can answer that, Hind, what are some important leadership qualities, a leader must have?
Okay, so it's a very important question, and it's an infinity skills that you have to have. But first of all, let's say for every person with us have let's say strength points and weakness points. So the first thing you have to know is to know yourself. And it's okay to have a weakness points, but you have to actually know them, know your points, so you can use them in the right way, and you have to improve the weak point. Knowing yourself is the first step. So you can't say that I want to be Hind or Amani or Reem. You have to know yourself first in a very good way, and it's a journey. So it's not a day or a week that you will have to explore yourself. Myself, I still exploring myself. I'm still finding out some strength points. I'm still finding out some weak points. I'm still working on my weak points. I love how Reem is very, very brave to me to actually in a Zoom meeting or in a kind of panel, she's speaking very influent English, some points that or some words she don't know, and she actually asked us to help. It's a very brave thing to do, is to actually ask for help, because me personally, I graduated from a government school, and that was one of my weakest points. I was very excellent in my studies, but that was, so the first thing I find out to help me to be successful is find out my weak points and work on them. So that's the first thing. The second thing, as also Reem mentioned about the passion, finding your passion, what really moves you is something important. And again, it's a journey. You don't have to find it. You don't have to be born with it. You don't have to know it in your teenager age. It might come late, but you have to work and find that one thing that makes you wake up every morning, keep working, and really dedicate everything you have for it. So once you find these two things, then it will come the third secret, which is never give up. So you are not a loser. There is nothing called a failure. It's actually every experience we have in life it's giving us a lesson. The only failure to me personally is giving up. Giving up, the only failure. Otherwise, it's all experience to your life. Once you grow up a bit, you would actually cherish those experience more than the one that you succeed in it, because
Yes.
the lessons comes from the experience that it didn't actually work the way you wanted. And the last thing maybe I would really have to highlight here for all the future leaders is never ever compare yourself with anyone else. You have your own story, you have your own timeline. If I know what I want since age of 10 or 20 or whatsoever, if I was successful in my 20s, it doesn't mean that you are not successful or you will not succeed in any age. So every one of you guys have their timeline different than other person. You have to have you have to look up to some let's say inspiring figures in life general, but at the end of the day, you are your superhero. So just look into that.
These are great advices, Hind. I must 100% agree with what you said. And I love the last point, the one about not comparing yourself to anyone. I mean, you are unique, your goals are unique, where you want to reach is unique, how you will do it is unique. So imitating someone else's painting, you know, there's no authenticity in that, and eventually you might end up with different results. Dr. Amani, you're a mother, and a lot of these young leaders they did not experience that yet, but somewhere along the road when they decide to, it's the right time, they're going to do that. But I remember myself when I was 17 or 19, I had that doubt that if I become a mother, I would have to let go of some of my dreams. Now that I'm a mother, I realized that there is nothing more powerful than having someone who is yours, who is on daily basis reminds you of your potential and your strength. So I do want you to tap on that that story of how you're having your family as a support system. It helps you to reach out to your goals.
First of all, I would like to commend both Reem and Hind on their journeys. They are fascinating, to be honest. And I'm lucky to be between these in a panel. And just to reply to what you've said, that motherhood is never an unnatural thing for you to do. Okay, back in maybe when I was 18 and 17, of course, I had so many other things in my mind, and being a mother was the last thing to have in my mind. To be honest, it's just the way I was brought up. Maybe other families are different. It's just for me, the way I was brought up is like, get your degree, work, and then think about all these personal stuff, which actually I kind of did, because I finished my degree first, which is the bachelor degree first, and then along the way then that happened, but it was not a priority to me. And there is nothing wrong with having your priorities set. Don't let anybody dictate on you what is your priority. However, as you said, Fatma, yes, some people will say your kid is a distraction. Actually, it's not a distraction. It is the push that it gave me, the extra push that I want him to be proud of me, among all other stuff. I want to provide. I want him to be happy. I want him to, be better than me. I want to set a role model for him and others. So it's never been like he is, taking away. He has his time. I plan ahead, doing some prioritization, of course. I have to achieve life-work balance. But to be honest, one of the main things which I stated at the beginning, one of the main things why I decided on my PhD topic, it's a big thing. It's like a 4-year program. So it was him actually, because I was concerned about all these social media ads going on, and it is targeting some children and unsupervised use of the internet. And that sparked actually my PhD journey. And I actually got my PhD and in that area, which is consumerism when it comes to children. So yes, it was actually a big push for me. It was an inspiration. It was never something to hold me back. But you have to understand that you sometimes go in ups and lows, and
Yes.
you have to believe in yourself. Don't always expect people to have your back. You have your back. It is in you, within you. You need yourself to succeed. Don't look at anybody else, like what Hen said. Don't compare yourself to anybody. My journey is different. Your journey is going to be different, but we can, support each other. All right. So the point is, and then you have to look within yourself to find that power. It's not necessarily, maybe not necessarily we will have the support of everybody, let's be honest, but you will have support for sure. When you ask for it, when you ask for help, you will have it. But you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your own set of skills. You have to believe that you can do it. Like Reem said, you have to have the passion, and things will work out, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you. And the reason, I mean, what you said is absolutely, I agree with it absolutely. And the reason I tapped on motherhood is I do want to highlight for the young leaders that, Hind comes from a different background, Amani comes from a different background, Reem comes from a different background. Each one of you is in a different position, yet you're all successful. You're all, represent women in an amazing way, and you're pushing these young leaders to have dreams despite where life takes them, despite any circumstances. You can still achieve and you can still be the leader that you want. And Reem, this takes me to you. What would you tell yourself? This is one of the questions from one of our young leaders. What would you tell your young self if you go back in time? What advice would you tell yourself?
I'll tell myself that I'm proud, that I'm different. I'm proud to have this different passion within myself. I don't have to be like the most of people. If I'm different, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. No, I have to invest in my strength points and start earlier.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. And, one of the other things that I would tell myself, I was always a social person. I would call myself a social butterfly. So the first day in university, I remember I had a piece of paper where I had all the students write their emails to create this network of, and my colleagues remember this. One advice is, create networks, get to know people, introduce yourself, don't be shy, go approach them. If someone is an inspiration, approach them. There's no harm in that. And I'm sure that all you need at some point in your life to have a female role model. I always tell girls this: have a female role model, be it your mother, your sister, your aunt, a celebrity, someone who's working in a government or other fields. You need to look up to other women to feel that atmosphere and engagement with other females in the field. What do you think, Hind?
If I would go back to my younger self, I would tell her to stop doubting herself. That's the first thing. Let's put the family and social and friends and everyone on a side. What really, really stops you is yourself. It's you, it's no one else, because you are over concerned. And I totally understand. I was in your shoes in that age. We have a lot of concern that's bigger than us, and they might not be real. It's all in our head. It might not be real, to be honest. And life is a journey you have to explore. So even with this doubt, so whenever I overcome this doubting at a younger age, was saying, okay, let's try and see. So I was talking to myself and say, let's try and see. And that's how as Amani said, I had myself as a backup. I backed myself by being a best friend to myself. And absolutely. I was always in any challenge, I would say to myself, let's try and see. And that's how I actually went through life with it. I would just say one very important point, maybe Fatma, the young leaders now, before the kids, there is the marriage also. It's one of the concern. And I will tell you something that I heard the first day I joined aircraft engineering was, you would never get married. Nobody would accept a woman that works in this field. Nobody would accept a woman works in a man-dominated field or being the only woman. At that age, I was very affected by that, but it didn't stop me. Okay, you would hear a lot. My point is, you would hear a lot of things that maybe in a young age you wouldn't know if it's true or not. But I would say, for me, my success was by, let's try and see. So
That's great.
just try it out, and if it didn't work, it's an experience you would learn from. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have a lot of questions from the young leaders, but due to, you know, time, I would have to now introduce Trish, who's gonna take us to the breakout rooms. And, you know, girls, you will be able to ask all of these questions personally, and our, you know, panelists would, you know, definitely love to answer them. To you, Trish.
Thank you. And I love everything that you're all saying. It really brings back what we talk about even at my age, about the importance of believing in yourself and supporting one another, which again, I saw so much of that in yesterday's session. So I'm so happy with this. Okay, so Hen was just talking about try something new. That is what we're doing right now. You will see in the chat that we have a Zoom meeting link. So we are all going to leave the webinar in just a moment. We're going to go to the Zoom meeting link. We know that this is going to take a couple of minutes. And when we get there, we are then going to break out into groups. So we've never tried this before. This is new, but we think it's really worth it. So we can break out into groups. If we experience any technical difficulties, you will receive an email from us, okay? Or if for some reason you can't get on, then email us. You have Carrie's email and we will get back to you as fast as we can. All right, so are we ready? Are we ready to try this? Okay, let's go to Zoom meeting. Bye everybody, see you in the other classroom.